Customer experience has always been important, and I think particularly more so now than it has done in the past. It is the one thing which operators can really differentiate themselves with. Now, it used to be that telcos were competing directly with telcos, but the problem now is a number of over-the-top players, OTT players, who are coming in actually providing fantastic experiences, and therefore operators are trying to compete with something which is entirely new. Companies have used a number of different strategies to address customer experience. The first one is just measuring it, which is through NPS, Net Promoter Score. So they do this through surveying their customers. The issue with that, of course, is trying to tie that back to a particular event. It's quite complex to do that and pretty inaccurate. The second thing that people have done is looked at the network primarily, and they've taken network data and they've actually used ways of trying to figure out how the network is performing and link that back to a customer experience. Again, quite tricky. Networks are very smart. Even though there's been a failure, might circumnavigate that problem and actually come and perform in the same way as they would have done even without the problem. So the sort of third sort of strategy which people have used is this sort of CEI, Customer Experience Indices, which is essentially a combination of the two first options, looking at all the touch points which customers have, including the network, and trying to marry those back to the customer experience. There's a lot of KPIs which come off the network. The problem with that is that it's a huge amount of data, and in fact the effort in trying to build those CEI strategies has to date been extremely difficult and not terribly accurate. In order to be effective at managing the customer experience, the first thing you've got to do is have an accurate understanding of the customer. And in order to do that, you want to take essentially the current customer experience indices, the CEI methodology, and actually improve it. So the change which needs to go on is coming up with a way of automating the learning of that CEI through in-depth embedded machine learning. Telcos need to shift their strategy, which is very reliant on NPS, to use CEI, but use a very accurate CEI. If you can actually build a very accurate model, it enables you to do all sorts of interesting things. You can actually automate some of the actions, so if you're seeing that customer experience is going bad, you can automatically put processes and rules in place to actually alleviate those problems or diminish them. You could prevent stuff by predicting when things may go wrong, and even before they do. So for example, you can use it for predicting when people are going to call into customer services, and you can use ways of actually sending proactive messages out to them, explaining them that you know there's a problem and therefore please don't call. So, effectively, if you're putting CEI at the center of your strategy, it enables you to model all those interactions and touch points and moments that you have with your customers, and use that as a basis for driving activities, both automated and augmented activities. Nokia's approach to customer experience is quite mature. They've had a CEI model for a number of years, which is looking at some deeply embedded machine learning technology in multi-layers. This means that it can do self-learning in terms of building up that CEI model, but it can do it very accurately and very quickly. They've got a whole sleuth of tools which they can use for actioning the outputs from the CEI. So they're in a kind of nice position of both being able to understand the impact on customer experience and doing something about it, actioning that intelligence they're getting from that insight.